Okay, yes, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alan, this is my life in Taiwan, and I'm going to welcome my new friend Dion to the channel.
Hello everybody, Taichung.
Yes, Dion is here visiting from Australia on the trip of a lifetime, your first trip to Taiwan.
That's correct.
How many days have you been in Taiwan?
5 days now, isn't it?
5 days in Taiwan versus 15 years in Taiwan, and his first day in Taichung. Dion's in Taichung for about 24 hours, so I'm going to give him the Taichung tourist experience, starting here at Wangaoliao Lookout Point, looking over our beautiful city, and we're going to get down into the city, give Dion a Taichung experience. And you're actually a photographer, right?
I call myself a serious hobbyist photographer.
I'm going to take Dion to some perfect locations, starting with somewhere I think you're going to really like. Should we get down the city?
Yep.
Let's go. So Dion is a serious hobbyist photographer. I gave him some time to get some shots of this city that I've called home for 15 years. And at each location we visit today, I'll be sharing some of the shots he took, so you guys can see Taiwan through the eyes of someone who has only been here for a matter of days. But soon enough, it was time to get into the car and on to the next location. But before we arrived, I had a question for Dion. What brought you to Taiwan? What's the reason for the trip?
I really want to do every country in Asia, so Taiwan's on the list.
Yeah.
It's open now. I got time now. Come and visit it, see the sights, take a lot of pictures, visit some friends.
Awesome.
And hopefully have a good time.
What surprised you so far about Taiwan the most?
Actually, the traffic is, I expected it to be like China.
Yeah.
Which is total chaos. Very similar to Melbourne where I'm from.
Okay.
A lot more scooters.
Yeah.
Than in Melbourne, but the roads are really nice.
Wow, okay. And you've rented a car as well. How was that? Yeah. Was that an easy process for you?
It was a pretty easy process.
Yeah. So far, so good. You rate the Taiwan traffic. That's a surprise. Most of us hate it. Of course, I was happy to hear Dion was impressed with our traffic, but I know as well as you do, there is much more to impress Dion with than the roads here. So after doing what every man should do and following the advice of a woman,
turn left, then you will arrive at your destination.
We arrived at the second place on the list, and it wasn't exactly what I had planned for photographer Dion. Oh no!
You have arrived.
Oh no!
It's closed?
It's completely closed. Oh my god!
Looks like they're going to tear it down.
Oh my god. Okay, Dion, the second location of the day, a big failure.
That's okay, we'll do something else.
We have lots more to do in Taichung, but this is just a really sad example of how big industry and commercial property building is just totally destroying some of the culture and the history of Taiwan. This place is really interesting. It used to be an old military village, and they were going to tear it down a couple of years ago or a few decades ago. One guy saved it by painting it and turning it into like a cultural attraction, but he obviously didn't work this time, so it's been pulled down. What a terrible shame. A terrible shame indeed, but Dion was still very enthusiastic and excited to grab some shots of Rainbow Village before asking me a very important question.
Are you going to eat something?
There's gonna be food. Yes, in this video, I'm not just showing Dion the sights of Taichung, but also the foods. So as it was still early, we jumped back in the car and headed for one of the city's many dojang breakfast shops, where I had a simple but delicious and traditional breakfast planned for him. 你有整场的吗？这个是辣味。那个是辣味啊，我拿酱油来。 So, Dion, a bit of disappointment at Rainbow Village.
Yeah, but
the only way to console ourselves is with a little bit of food, so I brought you for a very traditional Taiwanese breakfast item. Now, are you aware of Taiwanese breakfast foods?
No, I'm not.
Okay, Taiwanese breakfast is so wide and varied, I could fill this table with items if I wanted to, but there might be some other foods coming later, so I don't eat too much. This is Tongyou Bing Jiadan, which is kind of like a thick, fluffy pancake. And then this one is regular damping, bacon cheese damping, and a soy milk. And when I gave you this, you said
I don't usually drink soy milk.
You don't drink soy milk. Well, the name of these shops, this one's called Sehai Dojang. They're all over the island, but they originated in the Yonghe district of Taipei. So as the name of the shop is Dojang, give it a go. But if you don't like it, you have to be honest.
Okay.
This channel isn't Pai Mapi, we don't brown nose. But anyway, cheers. Give it a taste.
Actually, it's not too bad. It's got that planty taste that I don't particularly like.
Oh, okay.
But it's nice and sweet.
Okay, well let's give the food a go.
Very light. Texture's good.
Yeah.
Flavor's a bit eggy. But
okay. So this one's a little bit more doughy, a little bit more texture to the pancake. Which one would you say you prefer, the Dambing or the Tongyou Bing?
This one.
The dam being a little bit lighter. You mentioned to me yesterday that you married to a Chinese lady. So how did that happen? Where did you meet?
We met on the internet back in 2000, so before Facebook existed.
Wow, okay.
Before Tinder existed. Seemed to like each other, went across there, we met her families.
Yeah.
Got married. And then it took us about a year and a half to get her into Australia.
And how did she adapt to life in Australia?
At the end of 2 weeks, she was ready to go back to China.
Oh, really?
But she stayed after 1 year. She finally went back to China. And the first thing she said is, can we go back to Australia now?
Oh, really? Okay. So she thinks the grass is greener on the other side.
Well, she remembered all the good things about China when she was in Australia. But when she went back, the crowds, the pollution, the traffic, and stuff like that was too much for her there.
Ah, okay. Well, we're going to finish this, and then once this is done, we're on to the next location. With a little bit of food and drink in our bellies, we headed south to the district of Ufong, where there's a location that can teach foreign tourists such as Dion about an important event in Taiwan's history. So you have any idea where we are?
No,
Not a clue.
not a clue. You see the river, big clue. This is Earthquake Museum from Taiwan.
This is the 921 Earthquake Museum of Taiwan. Do you know anything about the 921 earthquake?
No, I do not.
Not a very positive place to come, of course, but I thought it's somewhere important for central Taichung culture. So we'll get inside, have a look, and maybe learn something about Taiwan's history.
And take a few pictures, hopefully.
Yeah, let's do it. For a photographer, the Earthquake Museum does offer some very interesting photo opportunities, but as well as taking pictures, Dion also had an Australian earthquake story to share.
Recently, we actually had an earthquake outside of Melbourne.
Okay.
In the countryside, pretty deep. My office on the first floor, and I could feel it shaking. I thought someone was walking past pretty heavily. And the shake went from this to this.
Yeah.
And when the walls are coming at you and stuff like that, yeah.
Pretty scary.
Pretty scary. We evacuated the building.
And another interesting thing to see here is that Taiwanese kids are still being brought here to learn about such an important event in the country's history. 大家好. 你好. 早安. But as time was tight for me and Dion, we wrapped up our visit and headed to an interesting location nearby. Okay, so the next location, just 30 seconds down the road from the museum, Guangfu New Village. It's the first village built after the Second World War, and it was sponsored by the American government, and it was supposed to be like a revolutionary new style of architecture and garden city. And you can see it's completely different to like most Taiwanese buildings, right? Yeah. They're more like homes with front gardens and back gardens and streets where kids can play. But as you can see now,
Abandoned.
a great place for photos. In fact, a lot of Taiwanese wedding photographers will bring bride and grooms here.
In the West, that would be considered bad luck. Having crumbling buildings.
Representing your wedding, yeah.
Yeah, which is so crumbling wedding.
Yeah.
Or crumbling marriage.
Some of the houses here are open, and other than being homes for stray dogs, they also provided Dion with an interesting photo opportunity, as well as giving me the chance to update my Instagram profile. But the great thing about Guangfu New Village is how it contrasts old with new. So just around the corner from these abandoned homes is a beautiful street lined with coffee shops, tea houses, and arty creative stores. So I took Dion for a fancy soda at Angelo's tea shop. Angelo's tea. 你是 Angelo 吗？
不是 my wife.
Along with some yummy dogen that we were treated to by the boss's husband, before it was time to head back into the city to view another beautiful photo location. And we've headed back into the city centre now, and we've brought Dion to the National Taichung Theatre. And you've got an issue with the name?
National and Taichung. Taichung's local. National's the whole thing.
So what would you name it?
National Theatre of Taichung.
National Theatre of Taichung, okay. Tourism board, get on that, changing it. But the reason I've brought Dion here is it's a very photogenic place, really interesting architecture, and there's a beautiful roof garden where you can go and get some more photos, have a bit of a walk around and get some views of the city. Let's get inside to check it out.
Let's go.
So Dion, what do you make of the Sky Garden here at the Taichung National Theatre?
I think it'd be really nice at night time when the lights are lit up.
Yeah. Any idea why they've got so many rabbits around?
Year of the rabbit. Is it?
Very good. 2023 is the year of the rabbit. shots for your Instagram, Dion?
Where are you going?
Okay, so it's time for some lunch, and I brought you to Qinghai Nyuromian for some traditional, original Taiwanese style beef noodles. I believe you've had beef noodles before?
Yep, 20 times in Australia, in China.
Okay, you've had it in China, you've had it in Australia.
Yep.
Now it's time to try it in Taiwan.
The soup is darker than what we usually have in Australia and China.
Yeah, there's two different types of beef noodles. There's Hong Sao Nyuromian and Qingdun Nyuromian. Qingdun is a little bit lighter, but Hong Sao is the braised beef noodles.
Yep.
So it's a bit richer, a bit heavier flavors. And of course, don't forget a little bit of swantai, a little bit of pickled cabbage. I'm useless with metal chopsticks.
Yeah, same here. Soup flavour in this is really nice.
Yeah. The reason I've chosen this restaurant is it's the highest rated on Google in Taichung. It's got a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. Time to try the beef.
Beef's really good, very tender.
It really tastes like the pepper and spices that they put in. There's lots of different spices in there. Now, Dion, you obviously have a very strong connection to China, with being married to a Chinese lady. What similarities and differences have you noticed between Taiwan and China so far?
Very similar.
Very similar, yeah?
Haven't really had much interaction with Taiwanese people.
Okay. How's their customer service in Taiwan?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Do you have any language problems, any language barrier?
I've been to a couple of restaurants where they have not spoken English, but they bring out a photo menu and you just pull in. You can get by, really, as long as you're patient and sort of try hand noodles and stuff like that.
Okay, so we're going to finish up our beef noodles here and get out of here onto the next location, where I've got a very special activity planned for Dion. I'm sure he's going to be surprised, so make sure you keep watching, find out where we're going next. Okay, so Dion, I promise you an exciting activity. What do you think? Were you expecting this?
No.
One tourist activity you cannot miss when coming to Taichung is coming to Taichung Park and rowing boats romantically on Taichung Park Lake, checking out the turtles and the fish. I probably should be doing the rowing as I'm the tour guide, right? Knowing that Dion had only been in Taiwan for 5 days, I was really enjoying showing him around my city and seeing the city through the eyes of a newly arrived tourist. Therefore, after I struggled my way out of the boat and Dion had gotten his photos of Taichung Park, we made our way to the final location of the day, which really impressed Dion. Like it?
Like it.
Yeah.
Very like it.
Okay, so the final destination is Confucius Temple, Taichung.
Yep.
Impressive place, right?
Yep. It's very similar to the Forbidden City in Beijing.
Have you seen as much of Taichung as you wanted to see?
I saw more than I thought I would see.
Okay, that's good. What would be your recommendation for somebody traveling to Taichung if they wanted to see as much as possible? Do you think it's a good place to come?
Yeah, especially if you can get a local tour guide type thing.
Local. 当地人.
For a solo travel that hasn't got a tour guide, it may be a bit hard to find the good places.
I think what you're telling me is I should start a business in tour guides of Taichung. There we go, that's the idea.
There could be possibly an idea.
It could be an idea for future. Yeah, I've had so much fun showing Dion around Taichung, my home city, the city that I love so much, the city that I always promote so much in my videos. I'm happy to have somebody to promote it to in person, and I hope you guys have enjoyed following us around. If you think there's anything we missed, any places that we missed we should have gone to, then comment down below. I'm sure there's many other places we could have gone
Alan
to.
needs the ideas for his tour company.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Time for us to say goodbye. So thanks to Dion.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for showing me around.
Pleasure having you here. Thanks to you guys for watching. But as for now, and as always, I'll see you next time in My Life in Taiwan. Peace. Bye-bye.
Cheers.